Hello and welcome to Turning Point Tactics, the competitive Kill Team 40k podcast and YouTube channel, focused on giving you the strategies and tactics to seize initiative every turning point. I'm your host Ryan, and I'm here to give you the tips and tricks to elevate every part of your Kill Team experience. If you enjoy this content and you want more, you can join our Patreon for as little as £3 a month. We'll get access to our Discord, patron priority questions, early access to videos including Kill Team bat reps, faction guides, and much more. If that's not for you, you can support just by hitting like, subscribe, and sharing these videos amongst the community of Kill Team enthusiasts local to you. Finally, if you're looking to buy some new miniatures or paints, you can buy them through Element Games, getting a 15% discount, and if you use our affiliate link below, you'll support the show as well. With all that said, let's get into it. Okay, so we should probably get into some questions, Connor.
Yeah, so our first question starts off actually with narrative play. And they want to know, what is the priority when picking for strategic assets / rare equipment?
It's a really good question. So I've got a few thoughts on this. And the first thought is, remember it's narrative, right? So from a competitive point of view, you can look at it in a sense of what can I do to absolutely break this game? And you can find stuff like there is some ways to really break the game. With stuff you can do, so you can make a shredder have P1 or something, and if you're playing into the dark, and then suddenly you've got this 5 attacks, lethal 5 P1.
My God,
rending, and it's like good God, think of the children, or make it ceaseless. You can really break it. So. My first thing what I'd say is just choose stuff that you think is going to be fun to play with, because there is a whole bunch of fun stuff out there, and you can really you can do a whole bunch of things that just enjoy your general fluff of the game, right? So and then a lot of the narrative selection's random anyway, so that's probably how I'd start. The next thing I'd say that you want to look for is deficiencies in your team. So if your team's not particularly reliable, maybe you're your shooting isn't very good, or your meta's not very good. Maybe look at trying to get some of the reliability your team is missing. So things like the Cephas ability could be really useful. There's other ones where you can. There's a thing called a Seeker Spirit, where if you retain a critical hit, you can reroll one of your attack dice. It's kind of like a pseudo. Balanced in a way that could be really good on a block or a weapon with lethal 5, so you could then find a way of doing that. But you could also find there is melee ones that have balance, etc. So try and find where it is that you think your team's lacking something, and then buff it to where it needs to be. If it's raw damage, there's ways you can increase your damage characteristics. So that could mean that your weapon, I don't know, goes from being, let's say it's a bolter 3/4. If you make it suddenly 4/5, actually that becomes really, really effective at killing stuff. You could make the shredder, for instance, 4/5 damage, and that would probably break it because it's insanely OP. But you can, you know what I mean? You can find where it is you need the element to be increased. And then with strategic assets, I think this is where you actually have quite a lot of options. There's some that I think are actually much better than maybe is given credit for. So one that you and I used was the engineering bay, where at the end of setting up barricades, you can select a terrain feature in 6 and then make it heavy, right?
Very powerful.
And that, so you can be really clever with this. You can drop one of your barricades down in a key route, make it heavy, and then suddenly it becomes obscuring, and then you obscure your whole team from a certain angle, and that's really good. So I really like that one. If you know that you're quite an aggressive player, maybe you like the Khorne style of gameplay and you're always reliant on a turn 2 initiative, go for the reroll initiative option maybe, because that could be really useful. Or if you're very, very CP hungry, there's one for a free tactical ploy without spending CP. But that's one of those things where you have to look at what your team does and then go, every single turning point I use this specific tactical ploy, and therefore I'm going to use this, and that's going to give me the CP back to really use it for other stuff. So it's a bit of a funny one. I would say you really want to look at where your team is deficient and try to work on that. I know this this particular question from the Patreon came from someone that was looking kind of at the Hand of the Archon. So I think that's, for me in that team, I'd be looking at ways to work maybe with the pain tokens, because they're really strong when they have their pain tokens up, but sometimes they just don't ever get them. So there's various equipment you can get, and a strategic asset that you get that can give you some more of these pain tokens. And it's very thematic. It's what the team do. They have these pain tokens. It's a part of their inherent ability. And B, it's going to help with your reliability, right? It's going to give you a bit of flex that the team needs to secure the kills they need early on, and then be able to go forwards with that as well. So that's kind of what I would look at if I was playing that team. I think that for me ticks the narrative box of being like the right kind of thing to do. And then B, it also helps you in game. And the stuff that I would stay away from is anything which is like XP based or casualty based, because actually the chance of you taking casualty is pretty low, and it's very rare that your guy actually fully dies. So I wouldn't worry too much about it in that sense. And if they do, you just buy a new one, and you're probably not going to lose too much. So and also, it adds a bit more to the narrative of it, right? Like if your guy dies, that's kind of cool in a weird way. So that's kind of what I would go for. But you played a bit of narrative. Colin, any thoughts on that? Anything that you think you'd add in?
I agree with everything that you said, especially them and our people dying. I think we smashed each other, didn't we? And I don't think, and also playing against Dad, nobody died in it. We got some cool injuries, which, as you said, helps build that narrative. Maybe consider picking your strategic assets from a narrative perspective as well. Try and think about, what you're doing while you're there. Maybe there's some equipment there that just ties in with that and helps you gets more out of the games that you're playing and the missions that you're doing. One thing I will add, which is a bit Pathfinder focused, but that's who I was playing, but just gives a different angle. I quite liked, I can't remember what it was, but they basically got like a aerial drone that allowed you to do a marker light instead of activating a model. I didn't really care for the extra marker light. I got loads of them. But what I did like was that break in tempo. So, we talk about Zugzwang before.
Yeah, that thing was OP.
Yeah, it just meant that I know that Ryan's doesn't want to make a move now, but I'm going to make him do a move anyway. And just I think it was 12, 13 man team at the time. Now I've got a 14-man team, basically.
Man, you went up to 14 activations.
Yeah, it was it's unfair.
That was really good.
Again, we're playing competitive, we're playing narrative. I don't know, I can't remember. But
yeah. I remember that the fun bit was you winning, right? You enjoyed winning.
Yes.
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah, that was you. You were playing Corsair, and you got rare equipment every game, and I got none.
Yeah, they get it so fast.
Oh my word,
man! That 4-5 damage shredder.
Oh my!
Is something else. I'll tell you that much.
But one thing,
oh my!
I would say with regards to the strategic assets or rare equipment, if you are selecting it randomly, just make sure everyone's on the same. I think it's a good way to select it, but just make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's doing it, or everyone's picking what they want, just to make it fair and stop squabbling or anything. But I think random's a good way to go. It makes sense. You don't really know what you're
tell all your friends to do random and then just choose yours and be like, I rolled so well.
No, you can't see the dice. I'll tell you what I rolled.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I got. Yeah. Alrighty, hopefully that answered that question. That brings us to the end of the episode. Hopefully you found something new or useful while listening, and if you did, throwing us a like would be greatly appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell so you get notifications as soon as the next one drops. It really is the best way to help a small channel like ours. And if you can't wait and you do want early access, we have a Patreon where you get exclusive access to all our content ahead of time. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. So drop a comment below and we'll get right to you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host Ryan. This has been Turning Point Tactics, and we'll see you next week.